Yeah.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Everyone who wants to. So we're here to talk to you today about authentic, as much as we can manage, medieval sword play. So we're here today. I know you've just had the castle tour, so you don't need the whole history, but we're here representing the late 12th century, so 1180, with the kind of time of the King Henrys and the Richard the Lionhearts, that era. So what we're basing our display on today is a manuscript. It's the earliest sword manual that we have in Britain. It's called I-33, and it's actually in Leeds Armoury. And it's a guide for street duelling. It's friendly fighting, and today we're going to be doing that as well. So we're showing you people training rather than in a battle or warfare scenario. But the manuscript depicts a priest and a scholar. We have the teacher and the student. You might notice today we do have a priest, and we have some students as well. We have the lovely Edward, who is our squire, and William, our slightly lazy young knight, who needs to work on his swordplay a little bit more.
I'll be fine.
And the final character we have in I-33 is a woman, ladies and gentlemen, Walpurgis, who has her own very special guard, which is why I'm here today, and we will be using Walpurgis as a guard later, so you can see that. And there's a couple of key principles that we'll be talking through. We're going to show you a little bit of a demo, and the principles will be controlling your opponent's blade. So obviously, if you don't know what your opponent's going to do, you don't know how to respond to it. And that's all about getting into the bind, feeling for what your opponent's going to do in return, and getting the strong of your blade against the weak of theirs. So you'll be seeing a little bit of binding today, which works much better with live and with metal blades, so you can really feel what your opponent's doing. The second thing is around speed. So you'll see our demonstration today. It's a lot faster than what you would expect in terms of the exchange itself. And of course, in the medieval times, although we are doing kind of training and like friendly dueling, you don't want to get cut. We're in a period of time where a cut, even a non-fatal cut, can be dangerous and fatal from infection afterwards. So we're trying to protect ourselves as much as possible. We don't want to get hit if we can possibly help it. So the exchanges are quite short and they're quickly resolved. And the last thing is about spacing. So our group is actually called Contrarious, and that's because the manual says the binder and the bound are contrary and irate. They follow each other as they move across the field. We'll have to move out of each other's way, find new avenues to approach each other. So yeah, we're going to talk to you a little bit next about the swords themselves and the shields and how they are made up.
So, the sword. Sword. Right, there we go. This is a sword. So it is made up of parts. So we obviously have the blade, which you'll all recognise. You have the hilt. And the hilt itself is made up of parts as well. So we have here the pommel, which is the weight which balances the length of the blade. So the weight here means that the balance is there. So all that blade length is counted by this weight here. So that helps when you're actually swinging the sword, when you're producing a cut, to help you control and manage this, what is effectively a sharpened iron bar. You have the grip. This is a single-handed sword. This is what we often refer to as an arming sword, the sword you carry on your hip. And it is designed to be carried with one hand. The grip itself is shaped. So you can see it's got this lovely bevel, again, to sit comfortably in the palm of the hand, not grabbed like a kind of hammer to be hammered with, but grasped gently in the forefinger so that you can use the sword dexterously, work with your wrists and your fingers to control the sword in a small, minute movements. The cross, not the quillon. That's a later term. The cross here, because it runs across the sword, serves a very simple function. It protects your hands. You can also use it to catch and control your opponent's blade. And then the blade. The blade itself is made up of two parts. It's actually made up of 5 parts. I'll start again. It is made up of many parts. So you have, obviously, two edges. And when you hold the sword like this, you have a true edge towards your opponent and a false edge towards you. You have a point to allow you to thrust. And these swords, despite what you may have heard, are for both cutting, but also for thrusting at your opponent. And then the other division of the sword, true, false, point. You have the strong of the blade, which is from about the midpoint down to the grip, which is where you have great control and power. And then you have the weak of the blade, the tip, which when you push, it moves. And we can demonstrate that in fine play. So if we cross at about my strong onto Edward, I can control his blade, I can drive it over. If, however, Edward moves his blade up, he can control me, and I'm putting as much effort as I can, but I still have no control until I do that. So the shift up and down the blade, and the mix of strong on weak allows you to control your opponent's blade. So we're not slamming the swords against each other, we're seeking to use the geometry of the blades to control the opponent. Now, these are culturally weapons of high status. So in this period, in the late 12th, 13th century, these are still the weapons that belong to those of martial rank, knights and lords and noblemen. They are symbols of rank and power and status. We are starting to see them carried by the middle classes, those that aspire to be like their noble betters. We start to play with swords, we start to fence with swords, and we start to see that. But these are still very much at this period the sword of a knight and a noble.
Thank you. So something else that you will also see that both Edward and I have are these lovely implements here. These are shields, in case you hadn't found out. These are shields, they are kite shields. These are the shields wielded by knights, largely Norman knights and beyond, on horseback. As you can probably guess, they're quite useful for that if you're riding along, because you protect your leg and you protect your horse. Well, about a square foot of your horse. Still, Edward here has my old shield. You can tell it's my old shield because it's cut down just at the top here. If you've seen the Bayeux tapestry, you've seen them with a lovely teardrop shape and a boss in the middle. This used to be that. That was my dad's shield. See, then I got this one, and I thought I'll go a bit more fashionable, and I'll cut it off at the top so I can get my sword over it a little bit easier. Look at that. Whoa, fashionable. Now, unfortunately, that wasn't good enough for me. I needed something a little bit more discerning in my taste, and I thought I'd get a brand new shield made. So I cut off the round bits entirely, and I've gone nice and flat all the way across the top. So I've got an even lighter, more nimble shield that I can fit all of my sword around on all sides. Not that I'd want to be around here very often. What am I going to do with that? Still, there's a couple of bits of anatomy of a shield. On the back. On the back here, we have three main pieces. Well, four, but this one doesn't really count. We all know what a pad is. Pad to stop you from breaking your arm when someone hits you. You've got your arm strap so that it doesn't go flopping around when you're holding it. You've got your hand strap so it doesn't go flopping around when it's just on your arm. And then you've got the guige. Funny word, the guige. It's the Norman word. Quite a lot of the words that we use in the medieval era, at least the 1200s, 1100s, are Norman. The guige is for carrying it, at least we think so, and making it slightly easier to wield when we've got a lot of things going on. So, as Edward is here holding, he's got his guige, or at least he did a second ago. He had his guige around his neck, so when he was holding it, it was a bit more comfortable. If I really want to, I can just drop it. I can come over to using my sword. Or, a bit unwieldily, I can get it back out in front. So those are the two tools that we're using there, and these aren't just defensive things, they are weapons in and of themselves. If I'm fighting you, I'm not going to go, oh no, I can't hit you, it's a shield. I'm going to whack you. I'm going to use these points. I'm going to run at you and I'm going to hit you with this. This and this, going hand in hand, are a great pair of weapons. I'm now going to hand back over.
Okay, so we're going to show you a little run through, full speed, and we're going to get these two to fight each other. Let's see who wins. Yes, our young knight, bested very handily by his squire. So as I was saying earlier, you saw how fast that was and how hesitant it was, them deciding how to gauge each other and deciding how to come in. What we're going to do now is we're going to break it down, so we'll talk you through that step at a time so you can understand the decisions that they're making along the way. So, places, gentlemen. So they're coming in to guards. And what we've got here is Edward is putting his sword out. He's tempting William to engage. But you might notice that where William's sword is, you can't see the sword from the front, it's hidden. So the only way Edward can really respond to this is to draw out his blade. He doesn't know where it's going to come from, he can't control the fight. So he needs William to bring his sword out and engage, which William's going to do.
If I didn't do that, what do you think would happen? If I just stayed here forever, what's Edward going to do?
Stab you.
Oh yes! My head would roll across the floor like the world's first football.
It's far too valuable to me, sir, to do that to you.
Oh, how kind of you. Your head's not.
So William's going to engage. And once they're in this bind, they can start to feel each other out and figure out what's going to happen next. Edward is going to use his strong to push against William's weak, and William comes in and defends with his shield. So he's bringing his shield forward to defend his left side. Edward is responding by twisting and changing the sword. So he's changing where their swords are. If you want to do it again without the shield, there we go. Really quick, nimble movement to bring the sword up and take that shield out of the equation. All of a sudden, William is at risk with the sword coming right into his belly. So what does William do? He pushes down with the shield to keep that sword away from him. But it's all getting a little bit too much at the moment. This is feeling a little bit dangerous. So we're actually going to disengage. Okay, this is still a bit threatening. And here perhaps William makes a little bit of a rash decision. Is it you? Or is it the other one?
Oh, it's me.
Of course it is. William's going to make a rash decision with a very clearly choreographed hit over the head. Which of course, Edward's not going to just let that fly, is he?
I will have to hesitate to say that when we say choreographed, it's not that we spend a lot of time practicing this at all. It does really mean that I am going from here to... And you can see what's coming. I'm not being subtle about it.
Yeah. Okay. And Edward
noise
responds
helps.
with a hanging parry. So he's catching that blade and using the strength of the attack to let the blade just slip off. He's using William's strength against him. And bringing his sword around. Oh dear.
I'm getting a sense that there's a theme here.
You're losing.
Yeah,
Pulling you in.
I don't like this.
So, William responds really quickly. Up in a high defence. But from here, he has got some options. So, what you might notice, Edward's head is a little bit protected here. And William's sword is quite close to it. So, pulsate cut, drop the blade right at Edward's face. Edward's going to squeeze that out of the way. And we reset. So no one's won this engagement. And we've got to start again. Start again, find a new guard, find a new route in. So you might have noticed the first time they did this, there was a little bit of posturing, wasn't there? There was a little bit of circling each other, gauging your opponent. And they finally settle in these two guards. So what Edward is doing on the left-hand side there is actually Walpurgis. That's our women's guard. The only woman in the book, this is the guard she takes. And the book tells us, we're not 100% sure why, that the way to respond to Walpurgis is this one. So William knows he's trained in this, so he's going to respond in time. So the only thing Edward can do again is to engage. William is right now with his sword, so Edward's coming in.
He's coming.
He's coming.
If you're watching, watch.
So I can't do anything now. What do I do now?
Because he'll get bored.
Come on.
Are you watching?
Twist.
Why
Oh,
not? Look,
And
what's he
William now
going to
changes
do?
the blade.
so now I can get him. Okay,
You're
I'm
getting
learning.
it. Unfortunately, Edward's too canny for that. in the process. Oh no, what's he got open, everyone? What's on display?
Chicken
And
wing.
this is where the shield comes in handy. Come on, big target.
Oh!
Bang! Great. Of course, this is again where speed comes into it. So if Edward's quick enough,
What's what they doing?
he can get around. Again, leave William on the back foot. Which, come on, you know how to respond. We did this earlier.
Oh, no, sorry, you saw something in my teeth.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
Right.
Fine.
Okay, defend yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, he's defended himself, but again, Edward can respond to the strength of this with weakness
Oh, sorry, what? Weakness.
and use the pommel of his blade to thwack William in the face and again win the engagement. We're using strength, weakness against strength to win the death. Do you think you've learned anything there, William?
So what I've learned is his elbow's really big,
Yeah.
and when he polishes the swords, I can see my teeth in them.
Great. Glad you've been listening.
What?
Let's try this one last time and see whether our knight can actually win. Oh, still not going well. He's got a bit further this time. Hey! Well done.
As it always should have been.
There you go, easy on the side.
Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions about the equipment we use or about how this works, please do come and ask any of us. Thank you.
Do come forward. It's now
Yeah.
safe to cross
You
the
can
barrier.
cross the barrier now.
Come and speak to us. Or we'll come and speak to you. It's going to happen one way or the other.